What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. I am your host, Chris Raybon. This is our Super Bowl 60 betting preview. Seahawks, Patriots. Joining me, as always, is the Prime Minister of Degenerate Nation, Stuckey. Stuck. Last part of the year. How you feeling?
Amazing. Yeah, it's almost time to flip to full college basketball, but one more game should be exciting. We'll have a bunch of props. You guys have been doing prop shows, been following along with some of those. Quick plug on Friday afternoon, you'll be on the show. I came up with this show idea that I'm going to host. I think we're shooting around 3 Eastern, but I'll have, I don't know, 8 to 10 to 12 people on. You get a hypothetical $1,000, 1 to 5 bets, and you can spend it however you want. You can put it all in one bet, split it up. There's a lot of game theory, and it'll be interesting. And I think it'll be fun. The winner gets some of my money, whoever ends up with the most at the end. And I think it'll be a fun way for anyone looking for, you know, last, a few days before where the prop markets still are, what people that are really into it are liking. So make sure you tune into that. But I'm excited to ramble about this game, which has, I think, a lot of fascinating angles on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll touch on all of them. I mean, I think there's a ton of question marks in this one, and I think it's because we have two defensive-minded head coaches, which is not necessarily the norm for the Super Bowl. Of course, McDonald, if the Seahawks win, he'd be the first defensive coach that actually calls the defensive plays. So we'll get into our six pack, and that's going to be open to just all bets, props, team totals, sides, whatever. We'll talk about how we think the spread and the total is going to kind of shake out and get into just our thoughts on the game and of course, our props. So if you want to tail the bets we're about to discuss, just look for the quick slip links in the podcast and video descriptions or visit actionnetwork.com/bet now. Stuck, you've been killing it all year. You're up 64-54. You so graciously wanted to make it fun last game. So we're going to make all the all three six-pack bets worth 4. So I guess if you go 0-3 and I go 3-0, I would technically come back. So appreciate you, but a great year and great moneyline dog. Didn't forget that. I think, where'd you go? 17-2 on moneyline dogs this year or something like that. 17-3.
Yeah.
So good stuff there. But yeah, you're up first. Super Bowl 60. Where are we going?
Yeah. And by the way, RIP to your uh Stidham
Oh,
over
don't want to talk about it. Don't want to
overpassing
talk about it.
over passing attempts, which was cruising, and then you had a storm out of nowhere, and then you had to throw a pick on that one play, and then May had to get the
Yeah.
first down, and it gets hooked. Brutal. But for my first pick of Super Bowl Sunday six pack, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks team total under 25 and a half points, widely available there. I so when just we're going to break down every angle of this game. We'll ramble about this game now, and then we'll get into some props, which will be the rest of our picks. Uh, I make this 3-7 around 43 and a half. So um, I'm I think this will close 45 or lower everywhere, the total. So I lean under, I lean Patriots. Let's combine the two and go with Seattle's team total under 25 and a half points. By the way, like I thought this spread should be like 3.5, 44 and a half is what 3.5, 44 is maybe what I would have made it. I mean, last week the Patriots they had an 80%, or I should say 2 weeks ago, they had 80% post-game win expectancy. There was weather. They kind of just did what they had to do to win, and they just protected May. They were playing Stidham. The Seahawks, the look at line was 3.5. Now it's been bet up since. I mean, the Rams had a 60-70% post-game win expectancy. They outgained. I mean, I think they were the better team. They came up short on fourth down. They shredded that defense. It's not like Seattle dominated. Sam Darnold was really good, but their defense got shredded. So I don't necessarily agree that this line should be above 4. So I'm going to go with Seattle team total under. So let's start on the Seahawks side of the ball. We know that they are a run first offense, set up the play action, but the Patriots defense, when healthy this year, with a healthy Milton Williams, with a healthy Robert Spillane, right? They had some injuries down the stretch. You cannot run on them whatsoever. And when the Seahawks have gone up against top tier run defenses this year, their offense has not looked pretty. I mean, you look at the numbers with Milton Williams, just to add some context. The 6 games without him, they gave up 5 yards per carry, worst in the NFL. Their stuff rate was 32%. That's worse than the league by 10%. 14 games with him, 3 yards per carry. Three. That is the best of the past 5 years. Close to a 50% stuff rate. Top three in the NFL. So there's some, they're healthy now on the defensive side of the ball. You can't really run on them. The Patriots defense, they do a tremendous job of disguising coverages on the back end. They use stunts very effectively. They've also upped their blitz rate. They've gone from at 29, 30% through the first 13 weeks to about 40% north since week 14 overall, and especially over the last 5 to 6 games. They've just really upped that blitz rate. And I think that the interior pressure specifically is going to give, I mean, Bradford, look out. He might have a really bad day.
Bradford, Sam, Freudian slip. For freaking anyone who had the like under 5 minutes in, Sam Darnold, not Bradford.
No, I'm saying their guard, Anthony Bradford.
Oh, I thought you. I
No,
thought you were
Anthony
doing the
Bradford
Freudian.
is
Oh yeah,
horrendous.
no, yeah,
He's
yeah.
going to
Oh
get.
yeah, yeah, he's terrible.
And
Yeah.
how do you get to Darnold? It's interior pressure, which the Patriots can generate. They have two of the best in the interior. They also can do it with stunts. They also can do it with this new focus on the blitz. So I think the
Wait, so would you
Patriots.
wait before you go on? Would you rather the Patriots? Because I think there's two game plans. They could either go kind of sit back, play some man, but kind of force them to kind of work down the field, or they could go super blitz heavy. You would prefer them to go blitz heavy against Darnold.
No, no, not blitz heavy, but pick and choose your spots. I don't think that they should go 40, 45% here. I think it should be like 30, 33%. But I like that they've developed some of the blitzes and a higher blitz rate over the past weeks. They have that tool now in their bag. That's something the Seahawks have to game plan for as well. I don't think that they should be that aggressive against Darnold, but
Yeah.
they're definitely going to use the blitz here and there on third downs. And I think that bottom line is, and then the Patriots have an excellent corner group. One of the things that I'm very, very interested in is how do the Patriots decide to defend JSN? So there are two schools of thoughts here. Two schools of thought. You either man up Christian Gonzalez on JSN and have him follow him around. Now you can't follow him around every snap. You could have him in motion. They can put him in the slot, which he's done this year, less than last year, but I don't know, around 20% of the time. You could have him coming out of I'm sure they're going to try to do creative ways to get JSN the ball. But he's obviously going to be on the outside a lot. Do you have Christian Gonzalez, who doesn't usually follow, but he has in certain games this year? Or do you take the Belichick approach? And this is a Patriots staff, obviously, that has lots of ties to Belichick. Belichick would take away your biggest strength. He takes away your right arm. Says, beat me with your left. So what he would do, like, and he would do this against like Tyreek Hill. He would take Gonzalez and have Gonzalez go on Shaheed. And Gonzalez has the speed to match Shaheed if on those deep routes. Some corners, you would worry about that, but not with Gonzalez. And then do you take Carlton Davis and put him on JSN, have him press with his physicality, but you always have a safety over top? Interestingly enough, it's in 2019, that Super Bowl, Matt Patricia provided the blueprint to Brian Flores, who shut down the Rams with their front, and that they had no idea what was coming. Maybe it's Brian Flores who provided a bit of a blueprint that the Patriots can draw from the Vikings when they played the Seahawks, and the ways that they bracketed JSN, the ways that they used zone when he was in the slot to take away those quick throws. So maybe they pull from there because they really just said, JSN, you're not beating me. So I don't know how they're going to approach it. Maybe it's probably a mixed bag of both, but that's super interesting to me. And I think both teams want to rely on their defense here until they're forced not to. So I think they're going to be conservative early. And then you throw in like the nerves here too. You have Sam Darnold, right? First Super Bowl. He's had issues in the past. He played amazing against the Rams, but and then you have Drake May. I mean, young kid in the Super Bowl. So you could have some nervous quarterbacks with some overthrows and just missed balls early. I think this is low scoring. I think there's value on little value on the Patriots, little value on the game under. So I'm going to combine them, go with the Seahawks team total under. The reason I haven't played the Patriots yet, I mean, it's kind of correlated to Seahawks team total under, but there's still this is the most uncertainty I can remember with a Super Bowl team in my life, just because the whole year they played the easiest schedule in 25 years, played backup quarterbacks, bad defenses, and then you get into the playoffs, you face top five defenses. Offense doesn't look great, but there's weather, and you didn't have to do much either. And then your defense looks elite, but who like you were playing? You played Jarrett Stidham in the AFC Championship game. You had the Texans had all those injuries, the Chargers offensive line. So like we don't have a great sample size and data set of this Patriots team against like full elite teams. But I do think the line's too high. I think the total's a bit too high. So let's go Seattle team total under. And I'll touch on a lot of the other aspects in the props that are so fascinating in this game. We'll get to like some MVP talk, some special teams props as well that I like. But curious to get your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, so I would lean Seattle and the under actually. So the thing about the Patriots to me is when I look at both of these teams, I don't really have any confidence in either of their offenses. I think the difference between you and I is I'm a little bit more bullish, just like I think going into the championships, like I'm a little more bullish on Seattle's offense and particularly their passing game because I don't think they've exactly been figured out. I do think they kind of changed some things up in that second half. I think they got more conservative at times. I think Shaheed was kind of like he didn't really add as much as like if you look at Torrey Horton and what he did versus certain coverages, it's like Shaheed really didn't much of anything as a receiver. I think that actually held them back. I'm curious to see if they end up, Bobo's a better blocker. Kupp is a blocker. If they need help in the run game, do you risk taking Shaheed's speed off the field? I think that's going to be a big kind of element of, the game here. But overall, I still think I liked what I saw of Sam Darnold in that NFC Championship game. I thought he was slinging it. I thought he was confident. The Patriots because I don't know if they're going to be able to take away JSN, especially 2 weeks to prepare. I mean, this Seattle staff is amazing too. I just don't. I think it's going to be a chess match. But I mean, aside from maybe you get really super physical and just kind of risk penalties and ejections. You just kind of play it that way. But I don't know if the Patriots are going to do that. But other than that, I mean, Christian Gonzalez has been targeted 101 times this year. He would play on the side of the field that JSN lines up the most when he's not in the slot. So I feel like they're gonna match up a ton anyway. He got targeted, 16 times against Houston, and then he gave up almost 60 yards against the Broncos on a couple of catches, 5 targets. But I think JSN is gonna get his, and I just think that when I look at New England, I don't know how they're gonna run the ball. I don't know who is going to consistently get open in the pass game because that Seattle scheme, I mean, they have like 4 safeties. They
can play dime a shit ton.
Right. And so you're gonna be able to shut down a run and an underrated element of and I'll get to my my first bet in a minute, but an underrated element of Seattle being able to play dime is that what's the most dangerous threat for New England's offense at this point if you're just handicapping the game? In my opinion, it's Drake May using his legs. So even that, there's some advantages to having more, faster defensive backs on the field. You could play around with spies. You have 2 guys that can play slot corner. So it's like, the Patriots, their outside receivers are Mac Hollins and Kayshon Boutte, right? Booty. So it's like if those guys and you're going to be running if those guys go deep, they're going into those safeties, which is kind of the best part of Seattle's defense, in the secondary. And then if you're going underneath, you got to got War, you got Witherspoon, who's going to play in the spot. They can man up, they can play zone, they could just. I mean, Drake May was.
They're going to use a lot of simulated pressures,
yeah,
and then they're going to be able to get pressure too without blitzing,
yeah.
and the Patriots are definitely going to be in third down, known passing situations.
Yeah. So like that, and because I thought about the Patriots, it was really tempting because, and I don't know if I feel comfortable enough, honestly, betting the Seahawks because I do have a ton of respect for Vrabel and for Drake May, and I think Drake May is the kind of quarterback that could change this game because you're talking about Drake May versus Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold could turn into a pumpkin. Drake May can use his legs and be a difference maker, and he's fearless, right? So he has what it takes. But I mean, my God, was this Patriot? I thought this Patriot offense was just awful in the entire playoffs. They just played like Justin Herbert, who just doesn't know how to play once the regular season's over. CJ Stroud, who once knew how to play but apparently forgot, and then
also didn't have Nico. Schultz got hurt.
But I mean, that was on CJ Stroud.
No, I know that, but I'm saying that didn't help matters in the weather.
Right. So I mean, the Patriots offense, not only and again, this was a continuation, and this is what worries me. It's like it's essentially, I think both defenses have the edge, but the Patriots, I struggle to even see how they score. At least with the Seahawks, like I think JSN is still a decent bet to produce. With the Patriots, I really don't know where I'm getting that production from. Anywhere you look, you could make a case kind of both ways. Whereas JSN, it's like they're going to have some. Obviously, everyone's scheming to stop him, but overall, you're going to hold him, under 5 or 6 catches. Are you going to hold him under 70 yards, 80 yards? Probably not. That's where I'm at with the game. I do think the under. I do agree. I think that total is way too high. You're probably getting like a couple extra points just because it's the Super Bowl or something. But there could be turnovers, there could be special teams, but both special teams I think will kind of cancel each other out. Like, here's a question: does anyone punt to anyone in this game, like at all?
Yeah, so there might be a lot of punts, which is scary.
There will be a lot. Yeah.
So like Kerner played that under longest punt, so I like that under 57.5 for longest punt
Dixon.
for Dixon. He kind of changed his approach after DK returned one for a touchdown, and basically no punts are being returned. And I think that, so I kind of like that. And that stadium, that stadium is also punts in general have been a little shorter on average historically. But yeah, I think so. I like that one. I also like under touchbacks that Kerner gave out because I just don't think that either one of these teams wants to let the other start at the 35 in this game. So, and I think this is when you're gonna have some wrinkles on your kick coverage and your punt. Like with all the game planning, you have Marcus Jones, you have Rashid Shaheed. You are not letting either one of those guys beat you with your defenses. So no, I think there's going to be a major focus on not punting to them high hang time or angling punts out of bounds and not giving them opportunities, which is why I like under 18.5. I think it might go up, so I'm waiting. Under 18.5 longest punt return. It's scary with those two, but both coverage units are good, and I don't think that they're going to get many opportunities for long returns. And Shaheed will fair catch a bunch. Where are you going for your first pick?
For my first pick and the second overall of the Super Bowl 60 Sunday 6-pack, I'm going with Drake May over 36.5 rushing yards. 37.5, 38.5 is out there. Like them all. I think Drake May is going to have to carry the Patriots using his legs in this game and there's a couple of trends as well that kind of point me in this direction, but let's just look at the matchups on the field. I kind of hit on it already, but on the outside you have two kind of lower volume, low target per route guys in Mac Hollins, who they like more as a run blocker, has been a good receiver for them this year, but more of a run blocker. And then you have Kayshon Boutte on the other side. So for me anyway, no receiver on New England is a slam dunk because Diggs is going up against their best corner or they're just best, defender, period. It's tough to find anyone for me, passing wise, for New England to go. So that's why I like Drake May to need to scramble a lot. I just don't think guys are going to be open a ton. And I think, he's going to resort to his instincts, when if he's confused at the line, if he's late kind of changing a protection or something like that, he's just going to take off. He's not, I don't think he's, especially after all these sacks and fumbles, like I think he's just going to be quick to take off. But if you look at just down the stretch, they've also made him a bigger part of the designed run game. And that might be essential here because Seattle, as you mentioned, has just been so good against the run. Like, I actually think New England might be the better run D with Milton Williams healthy. But like Seattle, by the numbers, is historically good. They're number one in run defense DVOA. New England with Milton Williams, it's sixth and fourth against back. So Seattle, by the numbers, is stronger. I think Drake May is just going to have to run the ball. And if you look at, okay, they had the last team with a bye, them and the Giants. Before the bye, 1.1 designed runs per game, a 4% designed rush market share. This is excluding kneel downs. After the bye, he goes from 1.1 to 2.0 design runs per game. That market share doubles from 4 to 8%. And you could tell that they started calling more like, options and things, and, end around sweeps and things like that, not just, quarterback sneaks, because if you look at his designed rushes, yards per carry before the bye, 1.4 yards per carry, designed yards per carry after the bye, 4.3. So that's kind of just like a normal rusher there. And then not only that, but he started scrambling. He wasn't going down as quickly when he was scrambling either over these last 7 games after the bye. 6.6 yards per scramble before the bye, 10.8 after the bye. So Drake May already has been trending way up rushing. I think he's going to have to leave it all on the field here. I don't think guys are going to be open. I think he's going to get more designed runs. And then, Stuck, you and I talked about this in the conference championship matchup. Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, those young guys on the offensive line, those rookies, they might have a promising future, but they've been shaky. And Drake May has actually gotten sacked at a higher rate with both of those guys in the lineup, and he's had a scramble. There's just been more pressure with those guys in than out. So if you look at the weeks 1 through 12 and 19 through 21, where Campbell and Wilson both played, May has a 10.7 sack rate, 10.4% scramble rate. In the weeks where either one or both missed, his sack rate was 6.8% and scramble rate was 8.7. So when those guys are in, there tends to be more pressure, more issues, more May just kind of running for his life. And New England's 29th in pressure against 4-man or less rushes. Seattle is 4th in pressure when they do not blitz. So I do think Seattle will get home. I don't think they'll have to blitz. And I think, that will kind of make May get out of the pocket. And I don't think he's going to see receivers open. And I think he's going to just have some issues at the line of scrimmage as well. So all of this leads me to go over on Drake May's rushing yardage. Don't mind his attempts either, but I think yardage is the best way to play it. So going over 36.5.
All right, I'll have thoughts. I'll add some thoughts to that in my breakdown of my second pick and the third overall of the Super Bowl Sunday 6-pack. I'm going with Hunter Henry over 39.5 receiving yards. That's my official pick. I also bet over 16.5 longest reception. I think 17.5 is the number that's pretty much out there now, still like that. And over 3.5 catches. Spread it out. I also bet him long shot to lead the game in receiving yards, 11, 12 to 1, which he almost did last year against the Seattle defense, where he finished with over 100 yards. And JSN and I think Metcalf also just eked them out. I mean, that Patriots team was horrific. But he had a really good day against this McDonald defense, as tight ends tend to do. They funnel a lot of stuff to the tight ends. And now you could say maybe they're going to focus on that. But I could say the same thing with your Drake May thing. That's the thing I'm worried about with the Drake May scramble. Like, Drake May's legs have been the difference for the offense over the past couple weeks. Do they just say like, look, we don't trust your receivers to get open. We're going to dedicate another resource to making sure May doesn't scramble. That would be my concern there. But the Seahawks can be vulnerable to scrambles in their zone heavy defense. We'll see what their split is. I mean, it's a zone heavy defense predominantly that doesn't give up explosive plays. But there's going to be when I think about how this game's going to be played out, like I said, I don't think the Patriots are going to be able to run the ball. And I think that Drake May's going to have to get rid of the ball quick. There's going to be a lot of simulated pressures. There's going to be pressure even without blitzing. And I don't think the receivers are going to be able to get separation. Where does that leave it? That leaves the running backs, dump downs. The running backs might have to help block some more. I think a lot of the targets are going to go to Henry. And if you just look at the numbers on the season, the Seahawks allowed 6 catches on about 8.5 targets for 64 yards per game to tight ends. 15 of their 19 games, they allowed a catch of at least 17 yards. And Henry on the year, he was targeted 4.7 times a game, had 3.3 catches, 42.5 yards. And he had 12 of his 20 games, he had at least a 17-yard catch. 11 of 20, he had at least an 18-yard catch. And here's what you have to remember. The Patriots, for most of the year, in the playoffs, they were playing in weather, and they had the game in hand. And the entire year, they were blowing out bad teams. They were in favorable game scripts. They're more likely to be having to play from behind here, having to throw more, and not being able to run the ball at all. So, like, all of those Henry numbers are probably suppressed, and you're playing against a defense that you're probably not going to be able to get separation with your receivers. So I just think he's going to get a lot of targets here. Like, I think he's going to get 7 to 8 targets in the game, and I think he's going to hit one big one down the seam. That's how I think this plays out. And if you look at McDaniels, over his past 5 Super Bowls with the Patriots, now 3 of them were with Gronk, but one of them was with Martellus Bennett, and the other one was Aaron Hernandez. It's 17 targets, 11 targets, 6 targets, 15 targets, and 7 targets to tight ends. Average 56 targets to tight ends, average of over 11. The average for the primary tight end, I'm not even counting the secondary tight ends. The primary tight end finished with an average of 6.8 catches for 80 yards. Martellus Bennett had 5 for 62 in one Super Bowl. So, also 4.5-point dog, like I said, likely to be playing from behind, May having to throw more. I don't think they're going to run more. I don't think they're going to be able to throw to the receivers much. This has to be, I wouldn't be shocked if Henry got 10 targets in this game. That's who he's going to have to look to early and often. I also don't mind some Hooper props, to be honest. I just don't know how they're going to use them. I never do well with the backup tight end. Remember I tried to bet Noah Gray. And then
my goodness. I was on Troutman. That's what I'm saying. This whole postseason seems like just a disaster for tight ends. Like McVay, remember at the end of the Bears game, he almost screwed up that game because he was targeting like Parkinson deep ball and then Ferguson deep ball incomplete. Lucky they made that field goal. Like it just seems like either, like, I don't know, something like all the smart coaches got together and decided like, we're actually not going to go to tight ends and we're going to try to trick them when we're going to do it. And then still doesn't work. I don't know. It's weird. Weird.
I just don't think the Patriots have any other choice than to go to Henry a bunch here. I think, and you project this at 42.5.
Yeah. I think Henry's the best bet. It's him or Stevenson. And then I do think Diggs will get his targets. I don't know how efficient it'll be, but I do think he'll get his targets.
I did bet Diggs over 5.5 receiving yards in the third quarter. I feel
Kerner was talking about that.
I told Kerner on that.
Way up on that, yeah.
His targets, and I think that, and McDaniels makes great adjustments in Super Bowl, so I think that they'll see what the Seahawks are doing and then get him a couple. So I like that look from Kerner, but go check out the prop shows where he talks about that. But his targets go way up in the third quarter. But yeah, so I'm buying Hunter Henry as my prop guy for the Super Bowl. Hopefully it goes as well. One year I was all in on Danny Woodhead, and McDaniels rewarded me. Hopefully he rewards me here. Where are you going for your second pick?
Before we get to those, I'll give my second and third. They're kind of related, so you can knock those out. But and then you'll give your third stuck. But before we get to the rest of the six pack, here's your weekly reminder to sign up for Action Pro. In honor of the Super Bowl, we're giving you $60 off a year of Action Pro. We are all going to be dropping more picks leading up to the Super Bowl. And with Action Pro, you get real-time alerts when myself, Stuckey, Sean Kerner, all of the action experts release picks. You don't have to wait those 30 minutes when the line may have moved already. All that plus real money and bet percentages, access to our pro player prop projections, and more. That's $60 off for Super Bowl 60. It's at actionnetwork.com/pro right now to take advantage. The rest of the Sunday six pack is coming right up, but first, I'll throw it to myself for a quick word from our sponsor, DraftKings. The Action Network podcast has teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. To get started, use promo code Action Network when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code Action Network when signing up and bet $5 to get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. For my second pick and the fourth overall of the Super Bowl 60 Sunday six pack, I'm going Kenneth Walker under 73.5 rushing yards. And for my third pick and the fifth overall of the Super Bowl 66 pack, I am going with the Seattle Seahawks team total under 106.5 rushing yards. So we've been talking about this, but I'll just go over the splits with Milton Williams. New England has played 15 games with him active. They've given up 80.6 rushing yards per game. They've given up 3.65 yards per carry. That is first in the league. And without him, that goes from 80.6 yards per game to 146.8. So literally, I mean, almost doubles in terms of the yardage per game. And the yards per carry goes from first in the league to 30th. 5.0 yards per carry in the 5 games that Williams missed. And remember Vrabel with Simmons down there in Tennessee. Like when he has a guy that could just eat blocks and just anchor that middle, I mean, he does some great things with run defenses, and we're seeing that again here. So with Kenneth Walker, if you look at New England specifically against running backs in the games, Milton Williams has been active, just 3.2 yards per carry to opposing running backs, a minuscule touchdown rate of 0.7%, which is why I think, if you're looking for touchdowns in this game, you want to look, at Darnold over, 1.5. You want to look at the receivers in this game. They're third in EPA against running backs at nearly negative 0.2, negative 0.198, which is ridiculous because, run plays generally, like it's just kind of, break even or a little worse. Like this, their defense is really making a difference on the ground against backs. A negative 23.8% DVOA is fourth against backs in the games Williams has played. So it's just been lights out. And remember, Kenneth Walker, he had that, we remember that game he had against San Francisco when Charbonnet went down, 19 carries, 116 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was amazing in that game. And he was amazing. He was great in the game before that against the Niners as well, 16 for 97. But outside of that, I mean, you look at, Carolina was the game before that, 15 for 51. And then against the Rams in the conference championship, when the entire backfield was basically, his with a little bit of Hawani, I guess, mixed in on passing downs. Walker 19 carries, but just 62 yards. So I like him under anything 70 or higher. Anything in the sevens. I think he could come well short of this. I also think
he was not great against the top run defenses that Seattle faced when their numbers went way down.
You mentioned the interior line is just, it's not great.
Yeah, so. And he gets his explosive runs on the outside by breaking the outside. The Patriots are elite at defending on the outside against runs. So, and this Patriots run D is legit. I mean, if you look, they face a really tough schedule too. And when they were healthy, they shut everyone down So yeah, I like that look.
Yeah, and I'll just give us a couple stats on the Seahawks team, and then you can close this out. But so for the team total rushing 106 and a half, if we don't even think Walker's getting into the 70s, where I mean, you're talking about either a Shaheed breaking one, like Sam Darnold's almost certainly not getting you know 30-ish plus yards. He doesn't even do the sneaks. It's Barner. So you're gonna need scrambles for him. Uh, but Seattle loves to run outside zone. They do it 30% of the time, 4.8 yards per carry. With Milton Williams in New England
Elite.
against outside zone, number one in the league, 3.0 yards per carry. Man concepts. Another thing Seattle runs about just under a quarter of the time with decent success. New England, 2.6 yards per carry, first in the league. They're basically first against everything but inside zone, where they're sixth at 3.5 yards per carry. So yeah, no efficiency expected for Seattle, and also the New England tends to stack the box, and Seattle's already faced a high rate of stack boxes, ninth highest, but New England is seventh highest, and they allow just 3.3 yards per carry when they stack the box. So, and they could, because I mean, like you said, Seattle really has, it's just one receiver that you're really worried about. So, yeah, I just don't see how Seattle gets to this anywhere close to the hundreds here. I think it's going to have to be a pass heavy script even from the onset. So, yeah, Walker under rushing yardage, Seahawks team total under yardage. Those are my last two for the Super Bowl 66 pack.
Yeah, like I don't see the Patriots getting blown out of the water, which is where I would worry about that. Where you just have the Seahawks running like 35 times, just up big. Um, but I don't see that happening. Um, so yeah, I like those looks. But I'm going to stick in that same department for my third and the final overall pick of the Super Bowl 60 Sunday six pack end of our season. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks over 4.5 players to record a rush attempt. You can find this at plus 115, plus 120. I also like this came out. I bet this logged it on the action app. It was over 7.5. We were recording the favorites. I was talking about it. Over 7.5 was plus 130, and over 4.5 of the Seahawks was plus 125, which made no sense because if the Seahawks
Yeah.
got five, there was no way that it wasn't going to go over 7.5. It got corrected quick.
Travion, they were just banking on like a Travion zero, I guess, again.
Yeah, they got corrected quick. It's like minus 150 now. I still like it over 7.5 total. So, but for the Seahawks, that's my favorite look at plus money over 4.5. Walker is
Polani.
going to get, he's going to get a carry. Darnold, very likely to at least have one. And then Alani should get at least one. And then you're probably going to have Barner get a sneak, a short yardage. By the way, there's a bet. Will the Seahawks attempt to pass inside the 1 yard line? Going back, I think it's a callback to the Super Bowl when uh, when they threw the interception. So Barner could get one. He's their sneak, the tush push guy. 4th and 1 here. You're not. You're going with Barner. You're going with the tush push. The other thing, and then I think you have to get creative in this game. We just said neither team is going to be able to run the ball with the way that they usually run it. So they're going to have to get creative. You have 2 weeks to come up with creative ways to run the ball. So what does that mean here? That's Shaheed probably gets a rush attempt, in my opinion. You might also get JSN a rush attempt. You could also get, Barner on just some other type of play, down near the goal line to get him a carry on some kind of trap or something. So I think you have to get creative. The Seattle has to get very creative. I think that New England does as well. And I think that there's a really good shot that they get to at least 5 players with a rush attempt. And then you never know. Maybe Drew Lock comes in if it's a complete blowout. There's other things that could happen. Maybe there's a pass play with a receiver that goes awry and he ends up running it. So there's some other things, but I think there's a really good chance that they get to at least 5. And then on the Patriots side, why I also like the over 7.5, the Patriots could really contribute to this as well because you're going to have Henderson, Stevenson should get a carry, May is going to have a carry, and then they got to get creative too. So you probably will see one of their receivers with a rush. And Drake May, I know they awarded him the first down. He didn't get it on the sneak. If the Patriots are smart, they spent the last 2 weeks having someone be their tush push guy, right? Like that's what I would do. Why would you not have that in your arsenal? So there's a chance that they have someone that's going to be maybe a tight end or someone that on a 4th and 1 might come in and rush the ball. So I think there's because of how good these run defenses are, it increases the chances that you're going to see many more players get an attempt because they have to get super creative. So we'll go officially over 4.5 Seahawks with a rush attempt at plus 115. Curious to hear your thoughts on that. And then I have one other question, then we'll get to our touchdown bet.
Yeah, so I think so. The Seahawks, yeah, Walker, Darnold definitely, Holani almost certainly, just because they've just had a committee. I think the game would really have to get out of hand, and even if it did, I think Holani would get one. And then every game, pretty much since they've gotten Shaheed has gotten a carry. And I think, the one he didn't, I think that was when I think JSN got one in that one. So they're usually going to give a wide receiver one carry. So then you just need that 5th, but you have multiple outs because you're probably getting one wide receiver carry anyway. Maybe you get 2 because, like you said, it's usually Shaheed. It might be Shaheed and JSN. Or you could just get that short yardage Barner play. So you could end up with 6 if everything goes right. But yeah, I think more likely than not to get to 5. And for the Patriots, you also have like a guy like Westover who plays fullback who hasn't got a carry yet. Maybe in a short yardage they just like do a quick hand to him. So that's and also Marcus Jones. McDaniels has been there for a while. Marcus Jones been there. They used to use him on offense a little bit. They doesn't look like I don't think they have this year, but you never know. It's a Super Bowl, so he's another option. I think a sneaky one that could get a carry. So yeah, I like both of those. I think with Seattle, it really just comes down to you're hoping for either a second wide receiver to get a carry or to get a short yardage, and you're good money either way.
Yeah, 7.5 plus money was a joke. That was something, but I like over 7.5 too. Jalen Milroe, is he going to be active for the first time all year? They're going to play for him?
Probably not. I mean, I was going to ask you, like, what about Elijah Arroyo? Like that seems like the more interesting. Like, I don't think Milroe is going to be active just because, like, I know what I see what you're getting at with the rushing, but yeah, I doubt it. I mean, you never know, but yeah. I would doubt it. But they can play with the skill guys because they usually have like Robbie Oots and Brady Russell active, and then so those are both fullbacks technically. Like Russell used to be a tight end, now he's not. I don't know. I guess he's just a special teamer. And then like another tight end who never does anything but block and call her up. So I mean, I think Arroyo is really kind of the wild card. I think it's interesting to bet Arroyo overs because every game he's been active, he's been the number 2. So if he's a scratch, you would just get your money back. It's unlikely that he would be like the number 3 tight end in this game if he'd be 2 or inactive. So that's the active inactive I'm kind of looking at.
One question. I would think my 2 other questions for you are Stevenson versus Henderson. Henderson props. Maybe upside on his props are worth looking at because I feel like, you got to throw to your running backs. That's what you have to do against Seattle. And McDaniels has done that in the past a lot in Super Bowls. And I think they need his explosiveness and his potential to break one. So they got to find ways to get him the ball. Seahawks don't blitz a ton, so I don't think you have to be as worried about like the pass protection as much. Because I know that they trusted Stevenson much more against the Broncos. So that's a bit of a
Have you seen Will Campbell block?
Yeah. No, I agree, but I'm saying I think they need to get him on the field and get him the ball a couple times. Would you agree with that, or are you too worried that he's just
I agree, but I also felt like that against Houston, and it didn't happen. And then like every game he's
So
trending
upside, I think
down.
upside bets they're like
I have him for 50
yardage,
plus
right?
rushing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or and
Um,
receiving too, maybe.
so receiving is interesting. I think like it's a lot lower hanging fruit, but for some reason they just don't really like to use him in the receiving game because I think because Stevenson is so good as a blocker that like let's say there's an audible or like a something like that, you can quickly get it to Stevenson. But my question back to you would be this: given that the Seahawks could play four safeties and be really good at it, and everyone's talking about okay, they're not they can play that against big formations. Like, what do you do if you're the Patriots? Because you do have like Douglas as your fourth receiver. That's not bad. I mean, he's been productive. Do you go two tight end, four wide, or do you go with that six lineman? Or like you just keep going with the fullback? Like who is the skill guy for the Patriots that is going to be most involved, like or formationally, like personnel wise? Do you think?
Hunter Henry. I'm kidding.
No.
I think Douglas could be a sneaky
Yeah, I was thinking
have
that too.
have a sneaky game. But yeah, they're gonna have to change the formations a lot and get creative. That's the
And
only
do you
way.
think they go a lot of big, like six O linemen? Because they've been doing that a ton.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
that would be good for Henderson because then you could go because they've been going like Stevenson, Westover at fullback. You could throw some wrinkles in there where you just take Westover off the field if you don't think there's going to be a ton of blitzing. And not that he pass blocked a ton anyway, but and you put like a two back formation with Henderson and a big guy, so it's like now you have big guys and like speed in the backfield, and you're coming at it that way. I mean that could be a big wrinkle. I mean I could see Henderson getting 10 plus touches in this game out of nowhere, but
yeah.
it is
He also could
concerning.
get zero. So I think you
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want to bet him, you look at the tails.
yeah.
Um, and last thing before we give our anytime touchdown bets, did you MVP look? You kind of like JSN as a
JSN. I think
non-quarterback?
JSN is the clear value, like by far. I know people are gonna look at the receiver. I was on Edelman the year he won. Like I was on Cup the year he won too. Like I just think
I mean, if you just
it's
look at his props, like he's getting 7 catches, 100
right.
yards, a touchdown, and if they win a low scoring game, over the past 20 years, it's either a quarterback, a random defensive player, or a wide receiver that has like that stat line in a lower scoring game.
And it's like not even beyond just the JSN. Like we know he's great. We know he could do that. But look at it in combination with Darnold. Darnold's median game is like a 230-yard game, one or two touchdowns. JSN's median game is like 100 yards
Yeah, half that.
with a right exactly. So who's getting that in that? JSN is the best player on the field. Who's more likely to have a highlight? JSN. So I think he is just a slam dunk play at plus 550, especially when Darnold I think that's going way too it's using the like base rate way too strongly with like I know quarterbacks like that is the base, that's the most likely, but you got to kind of look at all the circumstances here. Like JSN, yeah.
Darnold's also mistake prone, so you could have like a couple interceptions too, right? That hurt
Yep.
his case. And then
JSN could win it
JSN
with
just
no
has a good game.
touchdowns. Like JSN could win it with a median receiving game and no touchdowns, which is absurd for a wide receiver to say in the Super Bowl. And also, look at the board. Like Rashid Shaheed was like top 6 in the board. Like there's like nobody there. Like it's so wide open after the quarterbacks in JSN that yeah, I think to me JSN like if clear, and then I would say Drake May number 2. If you like the Patriots, you're getting decent value on him. But I think this is one where you kind of go chalk because the board is so wide open that it's like a lot of the guys up top you can't really see them winning. And then so now you're getting into trying to pick a defensive player, which I mean, good luck with 2 defensive coaches. It's a lot anyone's live. So I just go back to the chalk, which is JSN, who I love, and then Drake May.
I never really bet MVP. They should. Do any books have? I'm not too. Do any books have defensive player win MVP?
Yeah, like just like a defensive player.
A defensive player.
That is a good. I haven't seen it. I would think that would be too much of a liability because I mean, if you
I mean, you
add
could
all those,
price it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you could. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but
I would like that. I would
yeah,
try it depending on the price. I would think about it for the Super Bowl.
yeah, definitely.
But let's get to our anytime touchdown bet.
Okay, let's do it. So now it's time for our anytime touchdown parlay presented by DraftKings Super Bowl 60. Stuck, you're up first. Where you going?
Let's go with Barner. I I think that there's a lot of ways for him to get there. He could have a sneak. If they're at the one, you know they're not throwing against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. All the short yardage at the goal line. I think they're going to go with the tush push. It's going to be hard to run on the Patriots otherwise. And then the Patriots can be vulnerable to tight ends, especially in the red zone. Their linebackers and safeties can be got in coverage. I think that's the weakest area of their defense. So, and throughout the season, Darnold has liked to target Barner in the red zone. So let's go with AJ Barner.
I feel like that is your most used phrase if we just ran the numbers. Like vulnerable to tight ends. Like that is just gotta be your most used phrase on this podcast this year. But yeah, I agree. I think that the tush push really adds a big layer because 0.7% the Patriots touchdown rate allowed to running backs with Milton Williams in the middle there. That means Kenneth Walker, probably a good bet for no. I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna have that bet
I
at
like that
DraftKings as
too.
well. Yeah, plus 150. Love that. But for my official play, Jackson, Smith, and Jigba minus 110. To me, again, I look at this game. I know the Patriots are excellently coached defensively with Vrabel. I know they have Christian Gonzalez. But when I look at this game, I say, who is the best player on the field? To me, that's JSN. If there's any receiver in this league that can beat Gonzalez, it's JSN. Gonzalez has been targeted 101 times, most of any New England defender. The targets per route run highest in the New England secondary amongst the regulars. So, and JSN scored in just over half of his games. And now you're talking about, max snaps, max, you're not probably not coming out of the game no matter what. And you have a Patriots run D that just does not give up scores. A touchdown rate of 1% versus 5% when Milton Williams is on or off. The league average is around 3.5. So I think the scores are going to have to come either through the air or maybe like a Barner tush push. So yeah, give me JSN. You got Barner. You parlay those two together at DraftKings. You get a 6-1 payout. And yeah, I think these are the two most likely guys on Seattle to score. And I wouldn't even mind adding some Kenneth Walker no to that. But for the official parlay, we're going Barner plus 240, JSN minus 110, plus 600. That is our Super Bowl 60 anytime touchdown parlay presented by DraftKings.
One last thing before we get out of here. Final score prediction.
Seattle 23,
Better have gone under 25.5.
New England 12.
I'm going to go Seattle 20, New England 16.
Yeah, I can see that. I think New England's definitely going to be in that. Like, I'd be surprised if New England gets to 20. Maybe I should look at their team total under as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think the total's a bit high. Turnovers could flip it. Special teams could flip it. But
Yep,
just all
those are
things
the wild
considered.
cards.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, great year, Stuck. Appreciate everybody out there for listening. It's been just a great experience here to do this with you guys. And of course, shout to our sponsor, DraftKings. If you want to tail the bets we discussed today, again, you can find a quick flip links in the video and podcast descriptions or visit actionnetwork.com/bet now. Check out that playbook on X. Stuck, any last words before we get out of here?
No, enjoy the game. Don't get, don't get sucked into betting a ton of like the crazy things to happen. Usually there's no guy like safety and an octopus. All those odds are kick return touchdown. All those odds are so terrible. But check out all of our content. We're that show tomorrow, all the prop shows you guys have done. There's so much good info in those, but enjoy the game. Thank you to you for all of your work this year. Thank you to our producers who are incredible. And then most importantly, thanks to everyone for tuning in, listening, following along. It's been a lot of fun. Let's close the year out strong, and can't wait to do it again next year.
Yeah, word. Shout to Gift, shout to D Payne, shout to Eddie. Love y'all. And thank you, Stuck. I mean, you were just amazing this year. Great year for you as well. Just on it from week one right through. So hopefully we can close it out strong. And you can find Stuck on X at Stuckey2. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Go download it if you haven't already. Be sure to follow Parlay Express as well on the Action app for some long shots, and get Action Pro. Until next week, until next season, let's get this money.
Let go.